folks, to day 9, to the Paris Olympics, stitching the Summer Olympics. Here I am, working on the quilt that I'm whipping up for my sister. I need to stop and work on my assignment. But what's going on here is I've taken two 10-inch squares and I am cutting them into 3 rows of 3 1/4 inch rows. And then I have a 1/4 inch to cut off the edge. Here we go. I will make one regular 9 block piece and then keep the other 2 rows of 3 that I create for the border. So this is what it's eventually going to become. Alrighty. I like to get a little press on those curly guys right there. My iron is not on, so I had to turn it on. All right, let's get a press. How's everyone? Today, as I sit down and stitch in a bit, I think that I am going to allow myself a little voiceover time on the Seine River. I had a tour guide and then a second tour guide who really spoke about the history of the city of Paris revolving around the river. Not the Eiffel Tower, obviously, that was built in 1889 or opened. Not Notre Dame, although it has been there a very long time. Not, what else is super old? The food that was grown around. But it was, of course, how are you going to grow food? Unless you have that river. We have to have sources of water. And the Seine is the lifeblood of Paris. It's an UNESCO World Heritage Site, the left bank and the right bank in certain areas. All right, get that first strip, 3 1/4. Yes. The river, it starts way back up in Burgundy in the Dijon area, just like the mustard. And it is named after a Celtic goddess, Sequoia. And ironically enough, as I was preparing my notes, CBS report came on, a spotlight on, oh, here it is. I have to create 39 block. There, I've got them all laid out, ready to rock and roll. I've got 4 made so far, or I started this afternoon with 4. Okay. I tell you, Google is listening. Here is my piece for the day, as it is stitch something with a border. Is that what it is? A row that has a row for rowing. And that's what led me to the Seine. Rowing on the river. I guess they rowed on the river in the 1900 modern day Olympics in Paris. I don't know where my color chart is, so thank God I still have the symbols on my color card. And I am using 18 count Ada from Atomic Ranch cobblestone color. It is by Riverdrift House Needlework Designs, and I'd like to point out it is in Paris. So I started this a couple of years ago on white Aida, 14 count I think, and did not dig it. So I called Keepsakes Needlework in Ohio and got them to hook me up with more appropriate. I am using one thread on 18. And I feeling like I want to go back to my white Aida, as I had so much done and I was perfectly happy with it. I don't know what was up with that. So I think this is, only one of two Q snaps that I have, and it is really giving me, it's the first time I've used it on this project, so it has not worn out like I hear they get. So I'm going to reposition my white Aida project on my Q snap. And I was telling you about the CBS report spotlighting an author who's written a book on the Seine. And her bio, she talks about how interesting it is that the Seine just percolates out of a farmer's field in Burgundy with cows to start. And then it heads down, it winds down 482 miles towards Paris, and then flows into the English Channel. Sequoia is usually depicted as a graceful young woman, but in the 1800s they came up with this statue and put it in the grotto up where they found Celtic memorabilia of where they think the Celts went to celebrate the water. And you can see those if you go to a museum in Dijon, and other things from their surrounding area. In Paris, the widths of the river are anywhere from 98 feet to 656 feet wide. And it can be as deep as 11 feet to 19 feet deep, as you see my artwork there. The Seine has been a part of some of the oldest trade routes. The Celts in the Iron Age used the Seine to transport tin from Brittany to Cornwall to present-day Europe. And then eventually the Vikings sailed south on the Seine and made the section of Paris an integral part of their trade routes. In early civilizations along the Seine, there are facts that can be traced back to the Neanderthal stone tools have been found, 500,000-year-old tools along the Seine basin. And then, of course, the Roman Empire, which the Champs-Élysées, a tour guide told us, is one of the Roman roads. When Julius Caesar defeated Gaul and he incorporated it and the Seine River into the Roman Empire, the Romans called officially the Seine River Sequoia. During the 9th and 11th centuries, Vikings pillaged the upper Seine, destroying much of what was in Rouen, and sailed the river south to attack Paris. In the Middle Ages, French kings made Paris the economic, political, religious, and cultural capital that it is. The period of the French monarchy, along the Seine, it was centered in Paris, the seat of the crown. Out in the countryside, the lands were ruled by feudal lords. In 1864, Napoleon proclaimed that the region of Source or Seine up in Burgundy belonged to Paris. And he had a grotto built at that spring. So central to the identity of the French people was the Seine that Napoleon's will, in his will, he declared his wish to be buried, quote, on the banks of the Seine, in the midst of the French people whom I loved so much, close quote. His wish was denied by Louis XIII, who feared the burial of Napoleon's remains by the Seine would incite political unrest. In the 20th century, the Seine was the site of rowing, swimming, and water polo events in the 1900 Summer Olympics. Rowing events happened in the 1924 Olympics. And then in 1944, during World War II, it figured prominently during the closing phases of the Battle of Normandy. Spanning the river, in the 1st century, the Romans constructed the first bridge over the River Seine, rebuilding the wooden structure initially erected by the Parisili before the conquest. Known as the Petit Pont, it stretches across the smaller arm of the River Seine, connecting the Ile de la Cité with the Rue Saint-Jacques on the left bank. Recognized as Paris's first and oldest bridge, it has preserved its original name despite undergoing several reconstructions throughout the centuries. So the River Seine has 37 bridges, among them 4 footbridges, which have stirred the creativity of poets and songwriters, inspiring odes to Parisian romance. Its historical significance is evident from ancient times, attracting settlements since the Neolithic era, continuing to play a crucial role in transportation. The discovery of ancient barges in the Parc des Bercés, now housed in the Carnavalet Museum, serves as a testament to its enduring importance. We learned on a trip that the Pont Neuf, the new bridge, is the oldest standing bridge across the River Seine. It stands by the western downstream point of the island area, and it originally was built in 1550. I'm sure it's been, fixed up. The bridge is composed of 2 separate spans, one of 5 arches joining the left bank, and then another of 7 joining the island to the right. Old engraved maps of Paris show the newly built bridge just grazed the downstream tip, and then the natural sandbar building. It's just amazing. There's a small public park named in honor of Henry IV, nicknamed the Green Gallant. The name of the Pont Neuf was given to distinguish it from the older bridges that were lined on both sides with houses, those old like in Florence, Italy, and it has remained after all those other bridges with houses were replaced. Its name has withstood time, and it is the oldest bridge in Paris. And I just wanted to share with you that after all that, this morning, I decided to go back to my second choice, away from the white Ada. Even though I went back to it, I just felt like it was too big and goofy and wasn't in line with the fabric and the color that I felt like represented Jane Austen more so. And I'm really enjoying stitching with one thread. I haven't done a whole lot in my life with just one thread, maybe a handful of projects. So this one's really, I think, coming together nicely on that cobblestone. So here's the difference. The white 14 count Ada versus the 18 count cobblestone Atomic Ranch Ada. I like them both, but I think I really like this one, number one. Yeah, I think it's most period appropriate. The story goes that really, once the Seine reaches Paris, it really should have been called the Von or the Yonne because it is stronger than the Seine where they meet. And the rule is the stronger river is the one that carries the name. Here's the statue from the 1800s of Sequoia, leisurely lying there at the grotto, the source of the Seine. This is the community, the village, where it perkles up through the cow pastures and the farmland. This is in the Museum of Sequoia. Big happy change of topic here. I have photos of a quilt show to share with you that my beehive quilt was in, as well as where my Woos quilt is being auctioned off for the volunteer fire department. Oh, there it is on the upper left in the middle. So happy to see these. And it just takes place on the first Saturday in August. And then Brandon's mom tells me that they're going up to Canada on their Harley, going for a motorcycle vacation ride. And I said, safe travels. Look at these beautiful community center. That's a church, I would guess. Beautiful. Lovely quilts. Hey, there's the table selling raffle tickets for my Woos quilt. Wonder how much they've raised. I hope a bit. Please like and subscribe if you'd like. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.